Howdy, friend. You're just in time for our annual Pikes Peak Range Rider Street Breakfast. Everyone is having a part in this gala send-off affair on their 125-mile trip around Pikes Peak. Say, would you like to join of an extra special guest? Okay. You'll have to. We're serving good old Western-style flapjacks, bacon, and coffee, and everyone seems to. You'll meet old and new friends alike here at this send-off breakfast as everyone is enjoying that true Western spirit. Well, it's 8 o'clock sharp, and it looks as if we're just about ready to take to the... The Pikes Peak Range Riders are made up of local businessmen in and around Colorado Springs, including doctors, merchants, lumbermen, ranchers, automobile dealers, men from all walks of life, all banded together to enjoy the country surrounding us as our forefathers knew it. Sitting in the park was used in this country back in the 1880s, an old iron horse with real memories of the almost forgotten West. And say, I'm not kidding when I say you'll have some memories when you get back from this trip. Oh yes, back to what I was saying. Now, if you'd like to join up as a regular with this outfit, you must be at least 21 years of age. And speaking of age, there's one rider here who is 81 years young. We'll see him later on. You can see Colorado Springs in the distance now as we're taking our first hill of the trip. The weather is changing and the clouds are gathering. Looks as if that wind could blow up a storm. That's the Broadmoor district in the background, home of the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, but more of that later. This bit of road we travel is an old railroad bed known as the Gold Camp Road. It led to Cripple Creek back in the 1880s. And now we pass Cheyenne Mountain, the famous Will Rogers Shrine. Then up along a beautiful ridge trail accessible only by horse or on foot. Well, now there's a welcome sight. The pop truck is meeting us at an old place called Captain Jack's. Nothing left but old buildings. Say, see that tag on that fellow's shirt? Well, when you talk to a fellow rider, you can't help but call him by his name because he's wearing that leather tag. Probably you've noticed the outfits most men are wearing: blue denim shirt, white tie, white straw hat, and orange-colored chaps. That's our official outfit. Now, this is a hill that'll make you lean forward in the saddle. Just what could be more refreshing than a cold mountain stream bubbling down through the rocks? On a trip such as this, you must not let your horse drink too much during the day. Knowing your horse is part of this world of horsemanship. Time out for lunch. Both men and horses enjoy this mountain valley filled with lush grass. Better get your raincoat out of your saddle pack. Looks as if this rain really means business. There's nothing like riding in the rain when you're prepared for it. Cool, wet mountain air, the crisp odor of the pines, and the delicate scent of wildflowers seem to fill the air with a new life. Now, this is known as Frank Nelson's Camp. The place used to be an overnight stop for hikers and horsemen. The price for lodging was 75 cents a night, which included potatoes to supplement the lodger's food. During the winter months, skiers would make this their headquarters. But this, too, has gone into the years past, and nothing remains but old buildings. This is about the steepest hill of the day's trip. Also, the trail is wet, so as you go up, lean forward in your saddle. This prevents the horse from getting a sore back. Take care of your horse, and he'll take care of you. This is the home stretch, approaching the end of the first day's ride. We're entering Rosemont Camp. It's the favorite campsite of the riders because of its location, ample pasture, and water. All camping equipment is hauled in by trucks, and the camp is set up by a crew long before we range riders arrive. Approximately $7,000 worth of equipment is involved in taking us 80 riders around Pikes Peak. This enables us to properly care for our horse and ourselves during this long 125-mile trip. Horses must be taken care of first. They must be walked and cooled down slowly, especially in rainy weather. Fellow range riders who are professional leather craftsmen help keep the equipment in shape. After all stock is secure, then we can enjoy the finer things of life. A blazing campfire and jesting comments on the day's ride. Then to a sizzling steak dinner complete with all the trimmings. Food is of the best and prepared by masters in camp cooking. Well, what do you say we join the others at the campfire for the drawing of prizes donated by the members, then for some sleep? Good morning, everyone. It's now about 5:45 a.m., and everyone has been up for the past half hour or so, tending to his horse and equipment. What a beautiful country. Everything is so fresh from yesterday's rain. A campsite that's a dream come true, surrounded by the high Colorado Rockies, deep forests, and rich mountain pasture. Constant check on horses prevents potential trouble from occurring. New members gladly accept advice from the old-timers. Everything is well taken care of, horses groomed and well fed, so now I think we're about to prepare for our next and probably most important procedure next to feeding the horses. Come and get it, and that's what I mean. The cooks have been up since 3 a.m. cooking, and what a breakfast they've prepared. Charcoal is used for frying those sizzling sausages. And the chief cook serves eggs from individual skillets as you like them. Also, they're serving flapjacks. A man with an outdoor appetite gets mighty impatient about this time of day, and he's not likely to be slowed down if he can help it. A special-built hot water heating system is used for cooking and dishwashing. Food is served and then eaten outside just wherever one can find a stump or a flat rock to sit on. The trucks used for hauling all this equipment are donated by various business firms. Well, friend, are we all ready to hit the trail? It seems as though everyone is ready and the horses are chaffing at the bit. The sun's already high. Crews are breaking camp, and the equipment will be trucked to our next headquarters, a ghost town known as Winfield, not far from Cripple Creek. So begins our day of adventure over mountain trails. Some are thinking of the day ahead, and others of the songs around the campfire last night and the congeniality of a camp in the hills. Doubling back on the trail always gives you an idea of just how many are in the outfit, and even more impressive, it makes you proud to be a part of such an organization of men, mountains, and horses. Mid-morning, we find ourselves at about 10,500 feet altitude, where the air is thinner, the trees fewer. But the most welcome sight is that grand old mountain, Pikes Peak, seen above the treetops in sight for the first time since we started the trip, having been obscured till now because of deep canyons, mountain peaks, and rain. This is one of the few times that a dream becomes a reality. The reality of riding in the high country of Colorado, land of awesome mountains and beautiful skies. Over the crest of a mountain and to feast your eyes on all that nature has created, just as far as the eye can see. Yes, this is one of the moments that is written well in the memory book of rides past. At this rest stop, everyone seems to be unusually quiet, just looking as far as the eye can see and perhaps thinking and wondering how so much beautiful country can surround one grand old mountain. Just to graze freely, but not to wander too far from his appointed location. This stream is known as the Middle Beaver, crystal clear and very cold, regardless of how you drink it. This valley is a part of the Colorado Springs watershed. This is very rough and dangerous country. The old timber was burned out probably 50 or more years ago. There's a strange formation. That mountain is built up completely of loose rocks. You know, I said this was dangerous country. Well, one of the riders' horse just fell and hurt his leg badly and had to be left behind. Makes everyone feel badly for the horse and equally so for the rider. Every man on the ride realizes how it tears at a man's inner self to have such a thing happen. So now some men walk for the horse's safety. And others, well, they probably walk just to think. But such is the way of life. The burden of life is picked up from those who fall by the wayside and carried on by others. This is a relic of yesteryear. A prospector's cabin, which once stood proud and strong, seems to become as ancient as the hills surrounding it. Many aspen groves such as this are spotted all over Colorado. They are famous for their rich colors of yellow and gold in the fall of the year. Well, at last we're on the home stretch of our second day's journey. This is Winfield, Colorado, friend. It was a little late to look around last night when we got in, so let's have a look around now. This seems to be a town within a town. There's the cook tent. And there's where we bunked last night. Perhaps we'd better eat, too, and then we'll see what today's schedule holds. Many buildings such as this were once built here to house mine workers, and this is all the comforts of home. Hey, quit picking on me, will you, fellas? After all, I'm paying the rent here. Now, what's he doing? Fuss, fuss. Somebody's always scrubbing and combing. You know, to be a good horse, you must first learn to put up with man. Now, this place is really complete, right down to the blacksmith. That smithy who's working on the horse is 81 years young and was born right near here in Cripple Creek. He was the fellow I was telling you about earlier on the trip. He was a blacksmith in Cripple Creek during the last of the boom days. Man shaving, we're either going out or someone's coming in. No sooner said than done. Well, hey, fellas, look who's coming. The delegation from Cripple Creek came up to escort us down for the annual parade. Well, while these fellas are getting everyone acquainted and ready for a parade in Cripple Creek this morning, I'll tell you about this town of Winfield and its founder, Winfield Scott Stratton. Mr. Stratton came to Colorado Springs in 1872 as a contractor. He tried for his fortune in Cripple Creek, and on July 4th, 1891, he appropriately named his first mine as the Independence. He operated this claim from 1891 to 1899. Some $25 million in gold was mined, and he then sold it to a British corporation for $10 million. Rounding a curve on the old electric trolley grade from Stratton, we can see our destination, Cripple Creek. This is the most famous of old gold mining towns. These hills were once heavily timbered, but mine timbers took most every tree that grew in the vicinity. We're now passing the very famous old Molly Kathleen and Gold King mines. These mines were connected by a network of railroads. Only the bridge abutments remain from rails that once hauled millions of dollars of rich ore to smelters. Many of these old mine dumps are now being reclaimed because of the more efficient methods of refining the ore. These mines go to a depth of about 3,200 feet. Some tunnels run about 7 miles in length. Everyone loves a parade, and each year we have a parade here in Cripple Creek. These buildings, this one built by Mr. Tutt in 1896, are the third generation to stand here. Cripple Creek was twice burned out by fire. Cripple Creek got its name from a cowboy who broke his arm and the horse's leg when they fell chasing a steer through a creek bed. Oh yes, the steer fell too, broke its neck. When gold was discovered here, the tenderfoot miners used plows and hoes to gather ore from their claims. And today, this fabulous old country may be visited via a super mountain highway following the routes of the old iron horse of yesteryear. Back at our town of Winfield, we find the whole town has come to life. It will relive its whole colorful existence in one short day. The celebrities from both Colorado Springs and Cripple Creek, and also from Victor, are at hand. The townhouse, center of all community activities. Here you see the players from the melodrama, which we'll have to see later. Our tent city of the present must not be ignored. The range riders are feeding some 250 people here, and hungry too, I might add. While folks are eating, I'll tell you about this gathering. We are reinstalling all the city officials of Colorado Springs to honorary positions in Winfield. The mayor, fire chief, and of course the chief of police are duly installed by the administrator for the Stratton estate. The dedication program ended just about in time, too. That cloud looks like rain. We have the afternoon off, so some gather round and spin yarns of horses and places, or play a quiet game of cards. But down Cripple Creek way, things are really going great guns at the melodrama held annually at the Imperial Hotel. Let's see what's happening. This picnic at the rodeo grounds is a real Western get-together. All you can eat and everyone happy. Now we introduce our rodeo queen and her aide, followed by entertainment contributed by our armed forces, men stationed at Fort Carson. This has been a day, and tomorrow we must be on our way. Sunup finds everyone saddled and ready to hit the trail. Horses and men are well rested from the first half of our 125-mile trip and bid a fond farewell to our town of Winfield. These high mountain valleys are dotted with old prospect holes, and our eyes scan the blue hills in amazement of nature and her color harmony. We are approaching what used to be the mining town of Gillette, population 30,000. Now all that's left are a few foundations and a few buildings. This church was built by a priest, and single-handed, I might add. So it's time to refresh. This will be the only chance the truck will have to get to us for the rest of the day. Hey, just how civilized can a horse get? Now you're looking back over the country we've traveled since this morning. On the horizon looms the Continental Divide. Yes, this is colorful Colorado. Where else on earth are colors so harmoniously blended? Mother Nature was indeed kind to these mountains and all that abounds them. Too fortunate are we mortal beings who may enjoy all that nature has provided. Yes, this is one of the appreciable moments enjoyed as fellow range riders. A truly great adventure and pleasure. A pleasure and enjoyment of all that nature has to offer, and the knowledge that each and every man there has that same feeling of gratitude for all that is around him. This country was and still is rich in many types of game. The Indian hunted deer, bear, antelope, elk, beaver, and other game all through this country. Today, most any alert person can see the same wildlife in these memorable old mountains. Well, now here's a new angle, and it looks as if it's mostly all downhill. I guess it's true that which goes up must come down. This really isn't a steeplechase, but it's good practice if one has such an idea in mind. This is Horse Thief Park, one of the famous old landmarks of years past. These are the same trails that the old-timers took in their search for gold back in the 1840s. These trails crossed the trails of the Ute Indians, which led to their hunting grounds in the South Park country. Lunch is being served by the summer camp of the Mennonite Church. Roast beef and all the trimmings, and good. Back to our saddle, friend, and our next stop is Woodland Park. This aspen grove is beautiful, isn't it? There's the grand old peak again, almost hidden by the clouds. Matter of fact, it feels like rain again. We are now on the Silver Spur Guest Ranch, one of the many dude ranches in this part of the country, which are dedicated to the pleasant task of showing guests from all over the nation how to become real Western ranch hands. That used to be the old railroad station at Edlow on the Midland Terminal Railroad west of Woodland Park. Sundown, and all is well at the rodeo grounds at Woodland Park. Men and horses are tired, but have enjoyed the longest day's ride of the trip. This is our last night out, and what could be better than a big campfire blazing high and entertainment furnished, of course, by, well, ourselves. Something else for our memory book. Sunday morning, and this last day of riding will take us across country to the Pine Valley Ranch, some 15 miles north of Colorado Springs. This is also the site of the new Air Force Academy. But first, we'd better have breakfast. Everything sure smells good. Guess we're having our special this morning. Those individually fried eggs, as you like them, hot coffee, and boneless ham done to a turn. Doesn't the peacefulness and serenity of that grand old mountain, Pikes Peak, just tell you that it's Sunday morning? Nothing brings a man closer to his Creator than the wonders of nature. During the ride each year, and directed by a different minister each year. This time, Pikes Peak is the stained glass window in our church. After service, the usual good morning to the minister. Today we must carry our lunch as we'll be on the trail all day. Back in the saddle again. And say, speaking of saddles, how are your blisters by now? Seriously, though, with proper care of yourself and equipment, you'll come home in good condition. The first year the range riders made this trip, there were about a dozen horses that came in with sore backs. But since that time, intensive training and horse care has brought about very gratifying results. Now, such trouble is almost unheard of on this 125-mile test for both horse and man. Looks as if we picked up another passenger along the way. Notice the peak and how it's changed again. This is the last time we'll see it on this trip, as now we make our way down through the aspen groves and toward an altogether different type country. There are the Great Plains, my friend, an expanse that is space itself. This scene opens up as if taken from an envelope. Also, into the past, as so many other places we've been on the ride, this was once a wagon road carved out of the sheer cliffs of the mountain and trussed with logs where filling was impossible. This is the future home of the Air Academy. Cathedral Rock is on the lower left of the picture, Black Forest on the horizon. Each range rider's eyes scan the breathtaking splendor of this great country, and one can see Colorado Springs in the distance. To all the the range riders, this has been much more than a journey around Pikes Peak. It's been a sealing of friendship, a challenge of horsemanship, and a very selected opportunity to more closely associate with the wonders of nature that make up this colorful Colorado. Well, friend, we've arrived at our destination, the Pine Valley Ranch. Never were horses treated with more affection and care than they've received by their masters on this ride. And I'm sure that every horse knows and realizes that fact. Yes, to some people, this sounds strange. And here is a real example of the understanding between man and horse. See what I mean? By the way, be sure to be at the tonight. The awards are being given then. Evening, folks. Here we are at the annual dinner. This is a sort of a family get-together and an award-making festivity all in one. Our range rider president and master of ceremonies introduces guests, board members of the club, and, of course, our rodeo queen and her attendant. And now comes the big moment, the award for horsemanship. This trophy is passed on from year to year, but this one is kept by the winner for his own. This buckle is given to the ride director each year, and this is the Good Joe buckle given to the fellow who's just that. Our winner, and a true horseman he is. How difficult it must be to pick a winner from a group of men such as these in the range riders. And there never was a more regular fellow than our best Joe. Congratulations to you all. Besides horsemanship and friendship, let me tell you just what this represents and its meaning. It includes each and every one of us. It opens the second phase of this gala. Everyone loves a parade, and this represents one of the biggest and finest the West has to offer. Our friends, the range riders, also participate in this great spectacle of things to come. This is just one of the many activities in which the range riders take part in connection with the Pikes Peak Bust Rodeo. Every tight conveyance imaginable is here, as old as the trails we travel. And the range riders of 10 years from today including wagons, teams, wagons laden with gingham and calico. We are entering phase 3 of this fabulous story. This is the Broadmoor Hotel, home of the famous Pikes Peak Bust Rodeo. In August of each year, hundreds of cowboys and cowgirls from the country over gather here to give you the best performances ever seen. The wildest broncos in the country to have a saddle on, and the riders aren't exactly permanent fixtures. Calf roping is a business out here in the West, and also becomes a thrill and a show here at the Pikes Peak Bust Rodeo. And steers which are mighty objectionable to bulldogging. Now watch this. Wow, those brave steers just don't appreciate cowboys hitching rides for free. They're about the most unfriendly cows I ever did see. But seriously, all this is put on just for you. A community affair which people from all over our great country come to see and take part in. So the next time you hear there's a range rider breakfast down on Pikes Peak Avenue, you have a very special invitation to come down and meet all these old friends once again. And perhaps if we have an extra horse and a spare bedroll, you might even like to go along again, okay? Okay.